If you think $100,000 means you're either set for life or completely doomed, you're already asking the wrong question. Before retirement isn't about a single number, okay? It's about how long that money lasts, how long you live, and what you're willing to change to make it work. So, can you retire with 100,000? Yeah, you can, but only under very specific conditions. And if you understand the math, the trade-offs and the risks that most people ignore when they throw out blanket advice like you need $1 million to retire, because that number assumes a very traditional lifestyle, long timeline, and zero flexibility. And most people don't fit that mold. So let's break this down in a real way, starting with the most important concept, which is withdrawal rate, because that's what determines how long 100,000 actually will last for. And the most commonly cited rule is the 4% rule, which says you can withdraw 4% of your savings each year, adjusted for inflation, and expect it to last around 30 years. So if you apply that 100,000, you're looking at $4,000 per year or about $333 per month. And that's the number that just made you laugh or panic. Good, because that's the reality check most people need. $333 a month is not a retirement. It's barely groceries, which means if you're planning a retirement traditionally in the US with $100,000 and no other income, it's not happening. Not even close. But here's where things get interesting because that rule assumes a standard cost of living in a long term retirement period. And if you change either one of those variables, the entire picture changes. So let's talk about the scenarios where 100,000 could actually work. First, the idea of geographic is very important, being where you're at, which means living somewhere significantly cheaper than the average US cost of living. And this could be rural areas, domestically, or even moving abroad to countries where your dollar stretches much further. Places where rent, food, and healthcare are dramatically cheaper. And in those cases, your monthly expenses might drop to $800 to $1,500 instead of $3,000 to $5,000. And suddenly, that same $100,000 combined with even a small amount of additional income starts to look more realistic. Which brings us to the second key factor, supplemental income, because retiring doesn't have to mean zero income. It can mean stepping away from a full time work and relying on part time work, freelance income, online income streams, or even passive income like dividends or rental properties, and even an extra $500 to $1,000 per month changes everything because now your savings aren't carrying the full burden, they're just filling the gaps, and that drastically extends how long your money lasts. Third is lifestyle flexibility because if you're willing to live smaller, spend less, and avoid debt and cut out unnecessary expenses, your required income drops significantly. And this is where most people fail because they try to maintain a working lifestyle without a working income, which is like trying to drive a car with no gas and wondering why it stops. So if you're serious about retiring with a smaller amount like $100,000, you have to align your lifestyle with your financial reality. And that might mean downsizing your home, relocating, cooking more, traveling differently, and prioritizing your experience over possessions. So let's talk about timeline because retiring at 65 with $100,000 is very different than retiring at 40 with 100,000. If you're older and eligible for benefits like Social Security, that becomes a major, piece of the puzzle because even a modest monthly benefit can cover a significant portion of your expenses, meaning your $100,000 only needs to bridge the gap rather than fund your entire life. But if you're younger, the money needs to last longer, which increases the risk of running out, especially when you factor in inflation, which quietly erodes your purchasing power over time, meaning that what's cost $1,000 today might cost 1,500 or more in the future. So your plan has to account for the rising costs, not just the current expenses, because we do know this by history that it's going to go up. And this is where investing becomes critical because if your $100,000 is just sitting in a savings account earning minimal interest, it's losing its value over time. But if it's invested in a diversified portfolio, it has the potential to grow and outpace inflation. Although, okay, that comes with market risk, which means your balance will fluctuate and there will be periods where it drops off, okay? And sometimes very significantly. And you need to be mentally and financially prepared for that, because panic selling during a downturn can destroy your long term plan. So, the goal is to find a balance between growth and stability, often through a mix of stocks, bonds, and other assets that align with your risk tolerance and the time horizon as well. Now, let's address healthcare, because this is one of the biggest, wildest cards in invest in retirement, especially in the US. Medical expenses can be unpredictable and extremely expensive. And if you're retiring early, you won't have access to Medicaid until 65, which means you need a plan for insurance and out of pocket costs. And ignoring this can wipe out your savings faster than almost anything else. So it's not optional, it's essential. Another factor is housing, because whether you own your house or outright or still have a mortgage makes a massive difference. If you have no housing payment, your monthly expense drops significantly, making a smaller retirement fund more viable. But if you're still paying rent or a mortgage, that alone could consume most of your available income. So housing decisions play a huge role in whether $100,000 is even enough. Okay, so now let's talk about the longevity risk too, because which is the risk of outliving your money. And this is where, overly optimistic plans, they usually fall apart because people underestimate how long they'll live and how much they'll spend over time. And if your plan only works under perfect conditions, it's not a good plan. You need margin for error, unexpected expenses, and market downturns and changing your situation, because life rarely goes exactly as planned. So, where does that leave us? Can you retire with $100,000? Yes, but only if you combine it with other factors like low cost of living, supplemental income, and small investing, and disciplined spending too. And even that, it's not a traditional retirement. It's a lean, flexible, and highly intentional lifestyle that requires ongoing management and adjustment. And for most people, the better question is that can you retire with $100,000? It's how can you build a plan that gives you more options and less stress, which might mean working a few extra hours or extra years, increasing your savings rate, reducing your debt, or creating additional income streams so you're not relying on a single pile of money to carry your entire future. Because the real goal isn't just to stop working, okay? It's to have the freedom to live on your terms without constantly worrying about running out of money. And that requires strategy, not just a number. So if you're sitting at or near $100,000 and thinking about retirement, don't treat it as the finish line. Treat it as a starting point for a smarter, more flexible plan that actually fits your lifestyle. Because with the right approach, even with a small amount of money, can go further than you think. But without a plan, even a large amount can disappear faster than you expected. And that's the difference between, hoping it works and knowing it will. Thanks for watching today. If you found value in today's video, please subscribe. Without you, I cannot grow the channel, and a subscription very important at this time for this channel to even grow and for us to be here for many years to come. Join the team. We would love to hear from you too down below in the comments section. I respond to every positive comment down below. Feel free to comment down there, and I will definitely get back with you as soon as I possibly can. Also, check out this video to the right. It could also help you on your financial journey as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.